Welcome to the Goon Squad First 40 on YouTube. It is I, Puma, along with Ice Water. Black Thor is dealing with the traffic issues in New York and Connecticut. So it's the traveling day for the Thanksgiving holiday. But me and Ice are going to hold it down for this November, what's it, 27th? Wow, 27th of November. Want to start out by talking some college football. And the playoffs, Ohio State steps into the number one spot, followed by LSU, followed by Clemson. Clemson's just holding in that third spot, Georgia. And you got Alabama, number 5. Utah, I'm surprised. A lot of teams, people haven't seen Utah, but Utah's a really good team. They're number 6. I don't know if they're a playoff good team. They're good out in the Pac-12. Then you have Oklahoma, Minnesota, Baylor, who just beat Texas, and Penn State. So what are your thoughts about the playoffs, and who do you think can maneuver and maybe kind of slide up a few slots and may have a chance to get into the playoffs?
Well, it's going to be interesting. A lot of people are talking about the factor that Ohio State moved up to 1. But I think the committee was really impressed with Penn State all year long and what they were able to do, and the factor that Ohio State had some miscues or some turnovers and were still able to defeat Penn State. And Penn State had their starting quarterback get injured, but they kind of rolled with the backup quarterback who really had a lot of momentum, and they just kind of stayed with him. But the fact that Ohio State was able to rebound from that, and they've done what they've done. They've been able to do what they do all year in regards to handling business when it counted. So they handled the game in the end, and they won it. And I think that's why they popped to number 1. The rest of it kind of goes, to answer your question, Clemson has to play, I should say LSU. LSU has to play Georgia. So that's going to be quite interesting. So LSU number 2, Georgia's number 4. Somebody has to fall.
Yeah.
Somebody has to fall. And I'm not sure if they might do something. LSU was to lose close, where they would still keep LSU in the mix at 4 if they lost. That could be stretched because they've been up there for so long. But if Georgia loses, I think it's a wrap. Therefore, you move forward. Okay, do you choose a one-loss Alabama team just because? And without Tua, are they the same team?
Yes.
Then do you go with Utah, as you mentioned, who has a very strong defense, but then there are going to be the naysayers out there say they don't know what it's like to be on the next level. You don't want another blowout. So that's the things against them. A lot of people will be pointing at Oklahoma. Oklahoma has an opportunity versus Oklahoma State coming up to do that. And then if they win that, and then there's a possibility that they could face, if they go to the Big 12 tournament, Big 12 championship, could maybe get a run there too. So it's a lot of what ifs there at that 4th spot. I kind of think 1, 2, 3 though. I wouldn't say it's set, but 1, 2, 3 is going to be interesting because you have Ohio State. I think Ohio State, as you mentioned, is going to play Michigan this weekend. If they get past that, they may Minnesota or Wisconsin, LSU, one way or the other. I think whoever wins that game flips is the number 2 team, unless Ohio State just kind of falters or falls. And then number 3, you have Clemson. They're going to find a way to put Clemson in there. No matter what, no matter what we talk about the quarterback being up and down or whatever, as long as they keep winning, Clemson is going to have a slot. The question is, you don't want to be the number 2 team to play Clemson. You just don't.
No.
You don't want to. If you have to, you will if you have to just to get in. But I'm sure Ohio State is breathing a lot easier knowing that they could go to stay at 1 if they just keep winning without having to face Clemson if they win out down the line and go into the playoffs where you meet them in the finals. Because if LSU is going to win this whole thing, as a lot of people thinking, and had the Heisman Trophy winner as well, they're going to have to earn it.
Yeah.
So we're going to find out. So it's wide open. It's wild. That's why I told you early on in this season, I don't get excited about the rankings early on because it doesn't matter. It matters now.
Yeah.
Now you got my attention.
That's why we're talking about it. That's why we're talking about it now. I kind of think that for whatever reason, they'll try to stick Alabama in, but I wouldn't mind, no disrespect to Utah, but it's going to come off as disrespectful to Utah. It's got to be Oklahoma that steps in there with Jalen Hurts. And it's depending on how they really perform against Oklahoma State, and if they can just run the table at this particular point. Utah, I've seen them play. I'm impressed with the way they play, but I don't know. Another 12 team getting in and then kind of flopping like they did in the last couple of years. I remember Oregon was up there, and they flopped real bad. And so it's got to be either Alabama, and I'm wondering whether or not the committee will look at Alabama and Tua not being there
Mm-hmm.
and say, you know what, they really don't have a shot to beat Ohio State or LSU. And so that's what I'm really, really wondering, whether or not that will be even a possibility for Alabama, even though they're in that number 5 spot. And so I got to look at the record. We're going to be talking about this in our overtime show on Blog Talk. But I'm kind of thinking Oklahoma kind of jumps over those two based on their performance with Oklahoma State. Your thoughts to any of my comments?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but the whole Alabama thing is they're going to ask, as you said, is Alabama worthy?
Yeah.
It's hard to say. You have to look at Utah's record. And another team, depending on what they do down the line, is you have to say to yourself, because Baylor could play Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship on December 7th. So if Baylor beats Oklahoma, how can you tell Baylor they don't deserve to get in?
Exactly.
After all that they went through. Yeah. So Baylor is like, look, hey, we were right there. We had the game won, or we thought we had it won. So if we come back and revenge our loss, you mean to tell me we can't get a look over Utah? There's a lot of coincidences there, a lot of things that are consequences that can happen. But I love it. It's going to be a very tough call for the committee, I think, to put in Alabama. I don't see it. I know they're doing that out of respect from Saban, but Alabama still has to play Auburn. Is that correct?
I believe so. And
yeah. So that's going to play a big part. If they play close or they lose, then it's a wrap. But I think Alabama is going to have to show you that we may not be as good a team without Tua, but we are very competitive without him. And if they can do that, then the committee might go, Alabama always finds a way. And they've done it with backup quarterbacks before. You think about Hurts having to come out and then Tua stepping up. Maybe his backup now can lead them. So there's going to be a lot of intangibles involved, but they're going to have to really show the committee, I think, versus Auburn, that we're a team to be reckoned with and we deserve your vote.
Okay. We're going to have to get the Tim May, a.k.a. the Snow Leopard, on the show to talk, because this is his time of year. Sure. And we have him on the show every year to talk the College Bowl situation and the playoff situation. And I know he's kind of happy sitting there with Ohio State sitting at number 1 and the chance of Alabama having the chance to get into the playoffs. And that would be I think that would be a interesting game. If Alabama can get that 4th spot, they will probably have to play Ohio State. That will be, that's the championship before the championship, if you ask me. With or without Tua, it will be a good game. Your eye test on some of the games this past week in college football.
Yeah, a lot went on, like you said, from the standpoint of, I'm going to start right where Iowa over Illinois. Mm-hmm. Illinois is bowl eligible. And the fact that they were still able to hang with Iowa, I think says that program is moving up the route a little bit. And you got to give Lovie Smith some credit on that. Ohio State was a tough win over Penn State. It wasn't pretty, but they got it done and allowed themselves to keep moving forward. Even though it wasn't, this team has lost a lot, but Baylor over Texas. That's why I said you just can't count Baylor out. Baylor's played pretty good ball, and even though Texas has lost a number of games, they still are a worthy opponent. 2 more. Cincinnati over Temple. Yeah. You might go, Cincinnati? Cincinnati's only lost 1 game. That was a very important win for them. They only won by 2 points, but they earned the right to go to a bowl game already. And then, of course, your favorite closet team, Arizona State over Oregon.
Yeah.
Huge win. You can never count Herm Edwards out. They may not win the championships right away, but I'm sure he has a great way of motivating these guys for such a game, and they got the job done. Almost perhaps truly maybe knocking out Oregon from serious playoff contention.
I think that's what he did. And Herm Edwards gets me hyped up, and I'm sitting in my living room, man. He's just a motivator, and he knows what buttons to press to get these guys to play. And they're definitely taking on his personality out there. They play tough. They play smart. They play disciplined. And no matter who's quarterback, who's cornerback, whatever position, it's next man up. And they play some solid football. I've been watching them all year. Very impressed with Arizona State. One of my buddies is a big Arizona State fan, and I remember watching it with him earlier this year. And so even I'm looking at, and we're going to switch over to, it's a segue into college basketball with Arizona State and Remy Martin. That's one of my favorite drinks and names in college basketball. Remy Martin. And Bobby Hurley has them playing really well. Had a chance to watch some of the college games. Caught part of the college game against Duke. Duke getting upset by Stephen F. Austin. A lot of people say, well, we didn't see that coming. I know I've been talking about it got a whole season, getting to see Duke very early. They're not the same Duke team. And it was going to be very challenging to find players that can step up and kind of take over games for Duke. They have some great point guards in Jones and Stanley, but you got Carey there, who's the big man there, but there's nobody there like a Zion or Barrett that could take over a game and will that team to win like they did last year. Seton Hall is playing tonight. Also, you got Syracuse, Oklahoma State playing tonight. You got a lot of good basketball, and I'm starting to have that feeling that I usually have about North Carolina. It's going to be a fun year because it's so much parity, but I'm starting to get that feeling watching North Carolina, man, that they might have a shot. They might. I don't want them to be number one, though, because when they get number one, it seems like they get the big head. As long as they stay in the top 5, I'm good. But and stay hungry. But I'm starting to watch them. They play Michigan in one of the season tournaments, and I was watching Kansas tonight, and they're still not the team that I think they could be. Even though I love their guards, Dotson, I love his play. Kansas always have killer guards. They always have the guards that have the killer instinct. But the way they were really kind of struggling tonight really kind of makes me think that they're not going to be that top 5 team that everybody's kind of really kind of pushing, because they should have just blown the team out today. The talent.
What?
And I love Dayton too. I love Dayton. I love him. I love Dayton. And yeah, Dayton is very talented. They're going to be down there in March Madness, really, really tough. They got some tough players. But I thought Dayton should have won tonight against Kansas. I was really rooting for Dayton to win. But Kansas, to me, the bigs, they still got to get some more nasty to me. Like Popovich said, they got to be more nasty down on that block. I know they couldn't control them, the big man down there tonight, but they got to get some more nasty to dominate games. The way people have been talking about this guy, he needs to dominate these games. I'll let you go because you're making faces at me. I'll let you guys.
I was like, what games are you watching? Because I was like sitting there watching that. And you mentioned about Dayton. Kansas should have blew Dayton out. Dayton has played hell of a lot of ball this year so far. They're taking all comers, and we're talking about the Maui Classic. You think about it, Dayton upset Virginia Tech.
Yeah. Okay.
Virginia Tech upset Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
And we know what's going on there. And tonight, Dayton gave Kansas all they wanted. Dayton had some of the best guard rotations in the country.
Yeah. And
they don't care. They don't care who you are. And then you flipped over. I'm talking about Kansas. I know you may not like the big men, but Azubuike was unstoppable tonight.
He was putting in work
tonight. He was putting in work. He had like 29, 30 points. 29, 30 points. And he was hitting free throws tonight too. Yeah. I was like, Azubuike. So you got to give him a little credit now, because I mean that team Dayton is tough. A lot of other teams would have lost to Dayton. A lot of other teams. So I'm gonna give them credit for that. I'm not saying they're number one team by far, anything like that. But Kansas has some talent, and they always do every year. They come to play. I don't know what's going to happen to them down the line, but just don't throw them away, because usually I'm with you on that softness with the inside the middle. But Azubuike tonight and some other games, Azubuike's been coming to play now. Give him a little love. Don't throw him out like that. Give him a little love.
Watch out, and I know this might be early, but watch out for DePaul. DePaul is playing some good basketball, and I plan on going to see them in person, grab me a ticket before the ticket prices go up, because I think they're undefeated at this particular point in the season. They're 6-0 or 7-0, something like that. But they're a team to watch. The coach has them playing really well. Any other things on your eye test? Because I've talked about Carolina. I've talked about, I'm watching Seton. I'm watching Seton Hall tonight after the show. You got Syracuse and Oklahoma State. Syracuse always plays the 2-3 zone. They're kind of the most boring team on defense in the country. But any other teams that you want to talk about tonight?
We're going to find out about your lovely Carolina, because next week, the Ohio State Buckeyes will meet with Carolina.
Yes, sir.
So you've been pumping up Ohio State. We're going to find out where your allegiance lies, because the Buckeyes are coming, unlike Black Thor. Anyway, so that's going to be one hell of a matchup. I'm looking forward to it, because we know what Carolina is expecting to do. But we also know that Ohio State has been playing real hard. It'll be a great test for them to see where they're at overall, and they just keep moving over. Again, I have to keep reminding you folks, even though they're not a secret, they should be, or maybe they shouldn't be. Auburn manhandled New Mexico. Yes. New Mexico's a very good team, and Auburn is loaded. I'm telling you. You want to see a team that you go, what in the how are they this talented? And I know those that hate Bruce Pearl for his so-called shady past, you're just gonna have to get over it, because they are very talented. I like what they put together. Other teams to look out for: Oklahoma 6-1, Michigan's undefeated. They have a great matchup coming up very soon. Maryland is undefeated, and I'd be remiss if I did not mention the way the strong effort put out by the Georgetown Hoyas versus Duke at Madison Square Garden.
I want to talk about that game.
Yeah, very, very intense play. I think they're still quite young, but Patrick Ewing seems to have them going in the right direction.
Yeah, I saw that game, and I think I texted you in Black saying that there's some strange calls down the stretch, and Patrick Ewing almost got thrown out. I know he got teed up, but he almost got thrown out, and he had a right to be mad at some of those calls down the stretch. With that Georgetown had Duke dead to rights, and they could have been that team that beat Duke for the first time this year. But there were some strange calls, and I mentioned a couple of weeks ago when I watched Seton Hall, and I forget who they were playing at the time, Michigan State, and there were some strange calls down the stretch that cost Seton Hall that game. So you know me, the conspiracy theory guy, but man, you hate to watch games, and for me, it's like, ref, let these guys play, let them do what they need to do, and let the results be the results, and not really try to favor one team or the other. But you got some of the blue bloods. I wouldn't call Michigan State a blue blood, but they are, that team that's in the top 10 pretty much for consistency over the years. But when you have teams like Duke, it seems like Krzyzewski can get those calls late in the game that could swing a game in his favor. And he's able to adjust it, coach it, and then pull his team to victory just by his great mind and getting his players to do what they need to do. But, yeah, I saw Seton Hall get hosed, and I saw Georgetown get hosed in the last 2 weeks. I'm wondering who else is going to get hosed in the weeks to come. Listen, I know we talked about the fight last week, and I know I couldn't get away with not talking about the fight, Ortiz and Wilder. This is what I'm going to say about Ortiz and Wilder. Ortiz had the fight going into the 7th round. He had a great fight plan. Here's what I think where Ortiz messed up. It seemed like he had in his mind, if I hurt Wilder, I'm going for broke, and I'm going to knock him out. And he stayed in there too long, trying to get the upper hand. And Wilder just hit him with the 1-2. I always say he's a knockout artist. Now I was on the phone with my boy Ed, and we were so disappointed. And I'm like,
that little group.
Ice. And Ice was about to text me.
Little group.
Because he was winning. Can you admit that he was winning the fight up until the knockout?
Sure, I give you that. I mean. But I'm going to admit something else to you. I mean, I'm going to take this. It's probably the first time I told you this. But I'm going to start to at least be open to the factor that Wilder may not be the best boxer.
Now you're saying it. He had nothing.
I'm telling you, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be open to you. He may not be the best boxer, or he fails to follow the plan that Mark Brennan lays out for him to box. So he gets caught up in proving everybody wrong and he wants to knock people out. And when he takes that philosophy, it puts him behind, which it did against Ortiz. So you got to get it up. But I will say this, and I'll remind you again. You might say this other person was a great boxer. I don't see how the hell that came up with. I never saw this guy box, but he just had the way he moved. But and I'm not going to put him in the same level, but this reminds me of Mike Tyson, man. Mike, you knew what Mike Tyson was going for. You know what he was going for. You can say, well, he swung around and he kind of hit guys on the side, but in the end, eventually, his main focus was, I'm gonna beat the hell out you. I'm not. You never went to a fight thinking Mike Tyson was gonna get a decision. You just didn't. You just didn't. Tell the truth. You did not. You didn't. So now with Wilder, maybe that's just his MO. I didn't think so. I thought he was a little bit more versatile. I was hoping he was, but right now he's kind of showing me either he's not or he doesn't want to be, and he's just gonna live and die by whatever everybody says about him being a one-trick pony, being a knockout artist. So with that being said, I told you I'm open to it. I told you I admit it. I'm on that. I'm leaning the other way a little bit, and I'm gonna give it to you. I openly state that perhaps I was misled or I was wrong, but at the end of the day, night, ball squad. But wait a minute, he still can't get in the top 10 either, right?
Now, there was something on one media outlet that said he's one of the top 10 knockout.
Okay, whatever you want to do. When he beat Fury, then what? Then he beat Joshua. Still, whatever. You look. The one thing I'll say about voting and polls, they're other people's opinions. So you do what you want to. Yeah. I think if he continues to show you what he can do, knock out or whatever, then it's up to the people. But his record don't lie. His record don't lie. He came back. Nobody will fight Ortiz. Still, nobody wants Ortiz. They don't want any of that. I would love to see Fury and Ortiz. I told you that. I'd love to see Joshua and Ortiz. Nobody wants it. But do you know what Wilder did? He took it on 2 times. Took him on twice.
Yeah.
Twice. Now he's going back to Fury. Want to knock him out.
Yeah.
Then he's going to keep moving on. Then when are y'all going to give this man his credit? I'm hating on him. You had on Mike Tyson. Everybody loved Mike Tyson. Even though he took your money and gave you 90 seconds of fight material that sometimes people didn't want to be there.
Well, with Mike Tyson, it's like, okay, where you want to punch and what round do you want to get knocked out in? We all expected that. So people will pay for that because they knew that eventually they wanted to see him as a phenomenon, being so short as a heavyweight and so powerful. You know, you just couldn't believe your eyes that this guy, this kind of mighty might, had so much power that he was just knocking big heavyweights, just out the box. But I would give the next fight with Fury and Wilder is February 22nd. I'm gonna be looking forward to that.
You in a little group.
I think it's a little soon, but hey, if you want, he ain't really put in too much work in this fight because he didn't really jab. He wasn't really using the jab at all, and he was kind of pawing at Ortiz, and Ortiz was using the jab, and I'm like, if he just keeps with this, he can win this fight. He can take this fight. And like I said, I think he had in his mind, if I get him hurt this time, I'm taking him out. And, just like Icarus, he flew too close to the sun and the wind melted. And he just, the look on his face when he's going down, as soon as he hit the canvas, I'm like, this fight's over. It's done. He's not getting up. There's no, 8-second, count. He was done. You could just see it on his face, in his body, and my boy on the phone was like, damn. For 15 minutes, we just sat there with no words, like he had the fight. What was he trying to do? But it should be exciting in February, man. And hopefully it'll get Joshua in the mix. We're going to see Joshua and Ruiz pretty soon. There's another fight that's coming up. Gamboa's fighting this weekend.
Yeah, Devontae Davis, I think. Is that
Vontae,
this weekend or it might be the following week, something like that? I'm not sure. It might
okay.
be this week.
So we can talk about it in the 90, but yeah, I had to give it to you. But to me, I think that this was, he is a knockout artist, and
Okay.
I take
All right.
nothing from him. If you can knock him out and make your money, man. But a boxer, he is not.
Okay. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna concede that to you. I'm gonna concede that to you. So, but like I said, I'm gonna get back to this Tyson point real quick. The Mike Tyson situation. The majority of his opponents were terrified before they walked in the
Yeah,
ring. I
yeah.
think he had that up. I mean, no disrespect to him,
Do
but
you
they were
think people are
terrified.
terrified of Wilder when they walk in
No,
the
no, we
ring?
were terrified of Mike Tyson.
But do you think the same for Wilder, that they're
No,
terrified?
I wouldn't say that. No, they're most people come in thinking they can literally win. You can't. I know Ortiz did. I know Fury thought too. But I think the one thing when you look at it that you have to say about Wilder, Wilder's a compassionate guy, but he's a businessman. After the fight, if you watch the in the ring,
I
he
couldn't
literally
do
went
it.
he went to
I couldn't do it.
Ortiz and told him, look, he said, hey man, I love you. You're a great champion. You're a great fighter. I hope that your daughter is good and nothing but love. That's why I gave you a shot. I'm glad we did it. You're a great man. So he gave him a shot so he can make more money. And that's a real businessman. But he said, I got to knock you out. It's all good. No harm, no disrespect. It's kind of like them old, we talking our age of the old foghorn leghorn. He used to go to work and get,
Yeah.
you think about that, he'd go there, foghorn leghorn, make all that kind of noise. Or you think about Wile E. Coyote and the sheepdog, where they would go to work and he beat him down and then they punch in the clock together, knowing they were gonna take an L. That's how it was. That's how it was. But overall, I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna give it to you about Wilder being that knockout artist, but he knocks out Fury. Then Joshua's gonna have to work his way up. What else is left? I just want to know why this man can't get some love, because what people say they want to see, that's what he's doing. Black Thor should love Wilder. You said you want to see a grown man, you want to be tough, knock men out. Well, grown men knock people out. That's what Wilder's doing, knocking men out.
What was the movie Harlem Nights and Jack Johnson? He's like, don't take this ass whooping personally.
Oh,
all right, sir. We're gonna go to the week in the NFL. We'll talk to you about our picks on our overtime show. But this has been the story all week, man. And I know it's your Dallas Cowboys, but Jerry Jones is pissed. And I don't think it's going to get better this Thursday with the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo's going to go to Dallas and play them in Thanksgiving. But Jerry Jones is pissed. Does he have a right to be pissed? Because the way I'm looking at it, Ice, is that, you haven't signed your quarterback. You signed your running back. Your team is not that talented. You haven't beaten a team that has a winning record. And so even though you're signing the checks, your team is not that talented. Or is it the coaching? And I know for years you've been saying that the coach has to go. Jerry has to go. I've been saying that, but I guess Jerry looks at him as a son. They've been changing coordinator after coordinator after coordinator, but it's still the same result. Dallas is not going to make it. Probably, I'd be surprised if they made it to the playoffs. If they made it to the playoffs, it's a one-shot deal, because they cannot beat a team that has a winning record or has just as much talent as they do.
Yeah, to say, does Jerry have the right to be pissed? It's about time. I mean, what the hell? I mean, he's the guy that comes out and said he wants to wins a championship. He's the guy that said he wants to go farther in the postseason. Okay, got that. But then you said Jason Garrett is our guy. We got, okay, well, Jason Garrett is not moving the team. You get a brand new offensive coordinator. And again, the one thing that they tear me up on offensively is they believe that even though Dak Prescott, they're going to give him this big contract down the line, that he's the guy. Okay, that's all well and good, but do not ever get this twisted. Ezekiel Elliott has to be a key ingredient and be a key cog when you move your offense.
Yeah.
When you either hand him the ball, you need to, in space, throw him the ball. So Dak Prescott, that's going to allow him to be better. They went out, spent all this money on these receivers, and no disrespect to other receivers, they've done pretty much pretty decent, especially Amari Cooper when he's not hurt. But at the end of the day, it comes back to Ezekiel Elliott. It just does. And when he's moving and has a lot of play on that football field, even though we went and we saw where Dak Prescott threw for 440 plus yards, they didn't look impressive.
No.
Yeah, and nobody's really scared of that because you're one-trick pony. You're not using it all together. And defensively, they've given up some plays too. But when you have that machine rolling that way, and I wouldn't say they're not talented, they're not being used effectively.
Yeah.
They're simply not. They went out to a point thinking they could just put Ezekiel Elliott in a subservient role to the point in one game they had Pollard almost out-carry him. I don't give a damn who they're playing. Ezekiel Elliott is a franchise-type player. I know he's been in a little trouble, but you don't want to win when you had that guy sitting there waiting. So until they figure it out, and I still do think they need to make a coaching change. I do. People saying all these other small people, I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on. They need to make a quality small change. I know you can't tamper, but if I'm gonna just say this because I'm not in NFL.
You're about to tamper right now.
You're damn right, because I'm not in it. I'm not in the league. But if Sean Payton says he's done, he wants to relax and do something to get closer to home, when he's done with New Orleans, you need to sign him up tonight. Do that Larry Bird rule where you sign him early and just don't tell nobody. Yeah, Sean Payton will be perfect for them because it's a veteran team. He knows how to win. He knows how to use offenses in a great way. And he definitely would use Ezekiel in the right situation, right way.
That's what we've been saying for weeks, that Zeke needs the ball. He needs the ball. Whether or not, well, what teams are doing is saying, we're going to stop you from running. Dak, you can throw all day, and it's not going to hurt us. And that's what New England did. New England has a great defense. They went with that zero defense where they don't play safeties and just man you one-on-one and says, okay, then beat us. What that reminds me of, and it just caught me when I was watching the Dallas Cowboy New England Patriots game, is that the Patriots are playing like they remind me of the New York Giants with Bill Parcells. Solid defense. We're going to try to grind you out on offense and try to get more points than you. Nothing flashy, just because they don't have any. To me, Dallas had more talent than New England, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. New England was able to execute when they needed to execute to win the football game.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so,
Did you see that brand new receiver nobody ever heard of?
Yeah.
And he was catching everything or dropping everything. They kept throwing him the ball because he had one-on-one. And he eventually caught the one touchdown that they needed to win.
Right.
And nobody ever heard of that guy before, I'm sure. But that's Tom Brady and crew. So what they do to win.
Yeah, and it reminded me of, and I'm sitting here like, they look like the old Giants under Bill Parcells. They weren't flashing. I mean, the Giants won, I think, a Super Bowl, and they didn't score over 16 points. Mm-hmm. You know, it was their defense. And so it's like Belichick is like, oh, we're going to take away what you do offensively, and then you're going to have to beat us somewhere else. And we're going to give you such a tight hole to try to beat us that you're not going to be able to do it. But that may run out with New England over time. I'm kind of backing off my prediction of New England winning the Super Bowl right now, the way they're looking offensively. Defense, they're solid. But Tom Brady talking about playing till 50, I don't think so, bro. You need to call it quits maybe in a year or two, because you're going to keep getting hit hard trying to play out there, and your talent's not there. I bet you he wishes that Gronk was still playing.
Really?
Gronk would demand double teams, and it would get everybody else open, and then when you try to cover them, Gronk would be open. So I know he's probably on his knees calling Gronk, texting Gronk, come on, man, just for a few games, just come on back so we can win another Super Bowl, because they are desperately needing Gronk right now. And I didn't realize how important he was until this year. There have been years where Gronk has been hurt and they were able to persevere, but this year they need Gronk. Jason Witten needed to stay retired. Not in the booth, but he needed to stay retired because he just doesn't have it anymore. You could just see he's like 2 steps too slow. He can't catch the ball. Even though it was raining, that's no excuse. You're a professional. You're supposed to work under those conditions. But it doesn't seem like this is the stellar Jason Witten that we were used to seeing with the Dallas Cowboys. Any other thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, no, I agree with that Jason Witten thought, from the standpoint of he's more or less of an 8 to 10 yard guy. You just kind of hit him in times when nobody else is open. You don't even really look for him in the end zone unless he's wide open. And again, they have another tight end right behind him that is young and capable, but they don't even look that way because out of respect for Jason Witten. So there's a lot going on. When you look at Tom Brady, like you said, he's missing throws, not being able to hit guys the same way. But overall, they just keep moving and keep passing. And Gronkowski, the one thing that he did do more than anything, even last year, was he might be out all season long, but those last 3 games or 2 games that you really needed him in the playoffs, he was going to make that play to put you in position to be champions. And he could have a bum ankle, bum leg, whatever, but you give him the ball, he's going to find a way to make a play. That's why they love Gronkowski. Not so much about his longevity and him being healthy all the time, but when the chips are on the table, on the line, he's going to make a play.
He's the man. He's the man. Mm-hmm. And it's not about, trying to pick a play that may get you the yardage or a touchdown. Is who's the playmaker and get the ball to the playmaker. Yeah. In the NFL. You posted up a story on the Reality of Sports and the Goon Squad sports radio show about Luka Doncic. And I want you to talk a little bit about that. That I think the Sacramento Kings had a chance to get him and passed on him. And they must be kicking themselves in the behind right now because this guy is almost averaging, if not a triple-double. And it seems like he's unstoppable. Last night, he had a bit of a departure from his stellar performances. But overall in the season, he's been killing them. Can you talk a little bit about that story?
Yeah, do that real quick. Hindsight is 2020 because this is the draft where they picked Sacramento picked up Marvin Bagley, which I thought really was going to work for them. But Luka Doncic, we come down to with Vlade Divac, knew a lot about Luka back in the day over in the Eastern European leagues, and he's been watching for a long time. But he also knew the whole family. Apparently, he knew about his dad, and he really wasn't that fond of the father, and he just didn't like him. And now they're saying there's a potential rumor that he didn't pick Luka because of the fact that he didn't like his dad and what was coming along with that. So, and all of the baggage or something to that effect. So that might be true. But then again, Luka's really been a great position. But only thing I'll say, granted, he's playing his butt off in Dallas. I think it's a great fit, perfect fit for him. But my only question is, instead of saying, would he have been the same? Would he have been the same in Sacramento playing with De'Aaron Fox?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? That's my question. So great fits allow people to do great things. And we've seen other people have to move around. I throw that at very quickly. When you have other kind of players, they end up coming along, and it takes them a minute before they find their right fit. So granted, it's one thing to say that, but could he have been able to dominate with playing along with a De'Aaron Fox?
Yeah, because there was a rumor too, or somebody reported that they went to go meet with him at a restaurant, and he had this big bowl of nachos, and that he's out of shape, and he liked to eat like a lot of bad food, and that kind of turned teams off too. So that could have been something else that, his diet, the way he kind of, didn't really kind of take care of his body, that teams kind of saw and said, you know what, we're going to have a problem with this kid. So we'll kind of, stay away from him a little bit.
Maybe he did that on purpose so he can get where he wanted to be.
All right, man. Couple of minutes, real quick, man. You're doing real well in the picks. You and Black are tied for 3rd place. Pop is. I gotta watch Pop. I talked to him today. I'm like, you keep talking about Ice and Black, but you creeping up on me. So Pop is like 6 or 7 games behind me. So I gotta look at him a little bit closely now because he ain't playing. And then I gotta get that young thing because I think that's what's helping him out. But yeah, give me some thoughts, man.
All I'm saying is, I told y'all from the beginning. Cutting my way back up to the top. Black Thor. Yeah, buddy. I told you. I may not win it, damn it. That don't matter. As long as I'm ahead of you, life is good. See you over on the other side.
We're going to overtime on Blog Talk Radio. We will check you out later. Peace. Woo, baby.
All day. 1856.